Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Philip Bloom. I'm the director of the Center for East Asian Garden Studies here at the Huntington. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone to today's lecture by Professor Hitoshi Abe. Before we begin, please turn your cell phones or other noise-making devices to silent mode, and please take note of the emergency exits marked in red. So today's lecture is a very special one. It's our annual Dr. Genshitsu lecture. Thanks to the generosity of Hsiao-Yun and Frank Mosier, Huntington has held this annual lecture on Japanese tea culture since 2018. The lecture is named in honor of Dr. Genshitsu Sen, the 15th generation Grandmaster of the Urasenkei School of Tea. From 1964 until his retirement in 2002, Dr. Sen worked tirelessly to promote Urasenkei's values of harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility throughout the world. It really was thanks to his vision that Urasenkei became such an important gateway for many people outside of Japan to encounter varied domains of Japanese art and culture. Inspired by that vision, which resonated with her own hopes for world peace following her survival of the atomic bombing of Hiroshima, Hsiao-Yun Mosier generously chose to work with the Huntington to create a lecture series in honor of Dr. Sen. The Huntington is fortunate to have an Urasenkei tea house on its grounds and to have worked closely with the school and its artisans for several projects in the Japanese garden. I'd like to offer my profound gratitude to Hsiao-Yun and Frank Mosier for their support of the Japanese garden and associated programming. Although both Hsiao-Yun and Frank have passed away, their gifts continue to enrich our garden and offer so many visitors the chance to engage meaningfully with Japanese art, architecture, and culture. Today's speaker, Professor Hitoshi Abe, very much exemplifies the bridge-building spirit that Dr. Sen and the Mosiers held so dear. Professor Abe is a prize-winning architect and the director of the Terasaki Center for Japanese Studies at UCLA. He received his bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees in engineering and architecture from Tohoku University in Sendai, Japan. He also holds a master's in architecture from SciArc here in Los Angeles. Since 1992, Professor Abe has maintained an active international design practice based both in Sendai and in Los Angeles. His studio, the Atelier Hitoshi Abe, also known as AHA, is celebrated for architecture that's spatially complex and structurally innovative, and his projects in Japan, the US, Austria, and elsewhere in the world have received a number of awards. He is a dedicated teacher and proponent of Japanese design principles here in Los Angeles, and from beginning in 2007, he was the chair of UCLA's Architecture and Urban Design program. He now holds the Terasaki Chair for Contemporary Japanese Study. In 2017, he established X-Lab, an international think tank at UCLA that examines architecture's elastic boundaries and considers new possibilities through interdisciplinary collaboration in the study of the future built environment. Today, he'll be discussing some of that work through a case study of the design concept ZA, which he calls a place for shared experience. So please join me in welcoming Professor Hitoshi Abe.
Wow. Hello, everyone. And first of all, I would like to say thank you for this invaluable opportunity to speak today in Huntington. I extend my gratitude to the Huntington, Robert, and all people who worked so hard to make this lecture possible. Needless to say, this lecture series bears the name of the late Grandmaster Sen Genshitsu of the Urasenkei School, who passed away last summer. Grandmaster Sen Genshitsu not only made immense contribution to the development of the wonderful Japanese culture of tea ceremony, but also drawing on his wartime experience, advocated the philosophy of peacefulness from bowl of tea, and infusing each bowl of the tea with a wish for peace. Alongside introducing tea ceremony culture, he undertook the remarkable endeavor of visiting over 70 countries to appeal for the realization of the world peace. I find it truly remarkable that he sought to elevate tea ceremony from personal pleasure into a universal language capable of connecting people worldwide, regardless of their diverse background. Being invited to actually speak at this Sengen Genshitsu lecture is a tremendous honor to me. However, I'm not the student of the tea ceremony. I can't even sit properly. And even though I have a great respect to the tea ceremony, I'm a complete outsider. And I'm an architect, and I've been designing stadiums, auditoriums, and some kind of a building, and a very nice restaurant. Now, but I believe I'm standing here today thanks to the research studio I conducted last year at UCLA in collaboration with Mr. Izumi Sore of the Urasenki Tea School. So before introducing this research studio with him, I'd like to actually speak about my work through the lens of concept of the za as it relates to the tea ceremony. I don't know if you know the term za. This is a title of this lecture. It's Japanese concept, which meaning spans from kind of physical to social, cultural, institutional. That transcends a mere physical seat to actually signify a place to sit that encompasses status, gathering, atmosphere, and institutionalized collectivity. Historically and culturally, that denotes a shared situation where people gather, participate, and collectively create meaning. As an outsider, I believe that the tea ceremony is precisely this, a place where people gather, participate, and create meaning together. Architecture is, as an architect, I believe that is about preparing the seat that actually establishes this shared situation. So fundamentally, the architecture and tea ceremony are the concept with a high affinity, and I feel that the keyword za can kind of explains the connection between these two. And also the crucial concept defining the space of za is ichigo ichie, originating from the tea ceremony. This is also kind of a very Japanese word. Probably all of the Japanese knows this word. The term ichigo ichie traces its roots to the principle of tea master during the Azuchi Momoyama period. The phrase, a meeting that occurs only once in a lifetime, appears in the Yamanoue Sojiki, written by Yamanoue Soji, the disciple of Grand Tea Master or the founder of the tea ceremony, Senno Rikyu. This conveyed his master Rikyu's teaching: do not regard guests merely as visitors. Honor them as if they are the lord, like samurai lord, you might meet only once in a lifetime. So you need to really respect the moment you meet with someone in case of the tea ceremony, as if this happens only once in your life. And then during late Edo period, the Ii Naosuke, the senior counselor and the tea master, further deepened the spirits and refined it into the 4-character idiom, Ichigo Ichie. So this spirit of honoring each encounter as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity is essential for people to gather, participate, and create meaning. This is me 40 years ago. This was a strange experiment I actually conducted 40 years ago when I was a student, struggling to find my direction in architecture. I couldn't really kind of see how design can be really coming out from me and how to deal with it. And so I created this kind of cocoon, and I entered in this small, balloon made out of a simple air membrane structure and spent time in plaza in front of the school, contemplating people and surrounding environment. But even after, I was there a whole day, and even after several hours, nothing happened. Nothing happened. Then suddenly, a friend approached and gently pressed the membranes enveloping me. It was very strange, but in that instant, I felt very strong connection with him. And even the space itself seemed to transform. Like you could really feel that the environment is pushed towards you. Of course, it was a balloon structure, but I felt the strong connection with him. It was his active participation, not just watching from outside, but touching the membranes that allowed us to share the space. And this very peculiar experiment became the origin of my activities, exploring how to create opportunity for once-in-a-lifetime encounters. So today, as outside of the tea ceremony, rather than discussing my architecture, I'd like to share my past attempt aimed at building spaces for shared experience, or more likely trying to create the shared experience itself, and spaces centered on creating these once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, the core of constructing the. So to me, this was an experience or the meeting, once in a lifetime. I mean, you might see a very strange picture again, but I started my career by designing the building and so on, but today I'm going to show you not much of the building, more these kind of attempt trying to create this kind of a Ichigo Ichie moment. So this is actually the event that I initiated in the shopping mall. We tried to actually turn the shopping mall into the waiting place, or there's an unused community kind of passageway in the middle of the sort of huge housing complex, and we kind of organized family kind of organized kind of racing organized around the group of families, so that we kind of instructed them how to build this kind of a weird vehicle, and then ask the father and kid to work together, and then there's a competition happened. Or sometime we went into this area for the distribution surrounded by so many sort of unused warehouses, and then we collaborated with music group, local music group, and organized a big concert. So we try to kind of sort of stimulate the kind of a dead space without being used by actually triggering the people's activity and turn it into the place to meet and place that something happens. The same concept also, I moved to Los Angeles 2007. And then there's a big earthquake and tsunami happened in Japan on 2011. So to encourage those in Japan and also to honor design from Japan, we actually organized this event in Little Tokyo. I'm sure Robert remembers this event because there are a lot of people participated from the community. And the idea is because there are three sort of museums, MoCA and JANAM and JACC exist in Little Tokyo, but they never collaborated. They never really activated the entire sort of Little Tokyo. And we thought that maybe we can actually activate the whole area under the concept of this Little Tokyo Design Week. And we basically asked them to collaborate together, but also you can see the black dots. Those are the little pod, like a big container, and as a little museum space. Like this. So each container contained little exhibitions, and there are 24 of them, scattered around along the street and turning the entire Little Tokyo into kind of a design museum. And then I don't know if it's an official number, but there are 30,000 people came in that weekend. So the idea is, again, through this concept of the design week, there are lots of sort of people who are interested in the design originated from Japan came, and also the many institutions who haven't really collaborated that well are connected and then started to collaborate for these exhibitions and also the discussions, symposiums, and also the big party in Noguchi Plaza. There are like 50 designers from town invited, and they made a short presentation and so on. So this is also quite interesting because, again, only thing we did was to situate, you see the little pods in usual sort of urban context that you are usually spending without thinking too much, but once you give some kind of a trigger, then it becomes some interesting place that people can share the experience together and start to generate totally different meaning. And there are a bunch of people like this showed up too. And also, as all these examples that I showed you is more sort of about the programming and setting up the activity, but also you need to start to think about the design itself, especially how you trigger the kind of a connection to the body, and how the people can physically engage can be very important also for this kind of creation of the activity. So this is a kind of a small example that we did. This is an object to be hugged. And there's a very small special sort of a speaker that only delivers sound through your skull. It's a bone conductor, so that in order to listen to the music, you have to kind of hug. So our idea was like trying to, this is a lot of study, trying to find the best shape to hug. So there are a lot of people started to kind of hug this object and then start to kind of get together there. This is another experience of how the object or how physically people can be connected through this kind of an object. And this is a platform we did in France together with the students. So students were asked to take some kind of a platform and then sculpt the landscape by using their body. And these are all connected as a one platform. It's a kind of a workshop with the students, but then it's like this. They worked so hard to make this object, and this is what it is. I mean, this is just maybe a little more like a toy, but the idea is that how it is important for the environment to have a kind of a connection to the body itself, to make the sort of experience of being together very special. And later on, you will see that also how, in order to create a very strong place where actually people can be attracted, the design of the connection to the body is very important, and that's a kind of a method that the tea ceremony uses also in order to make a very strong bond between the space and the body, and space and the people, and people to people. This is just a small conference we did for the Miraikan, the kind of future museum in Tokyo. Nothing very special except that the arrangement is very strange. So instead of having this setting, so the speakers are separated from audience, we actually put the large table and surrounded by the speakers. And then this table and the speakers are surrounded by the audience. So the conversation happens in this large table while people are watching. And then this is a way we try to kind of remove the boundary between speakers and then trying to encourage more honest, informal conversation. And we are very much interested in how we can actually turn this kind of a formal symposium into more place for the creative discussion. So nowadays also, when you meet with people or when you want to communicate with the people, you have to deal with also the digital technology. This is an exhibition design that we did for actually exhibition of the initiative called ArcDL3, Disaster Architecture and Urban Design for Disaster Risk Reduction and Resiliency. So basically, this is a kind of an entire exhibition. It's supposed to tell the story of the disaster, and then there will be the 7 ideas of making the very sort of a kind of a disaster resilient city. And these are called well. And then in the bottom of the well, there's a screen. So by looking into the well, you can kind of listen one story. So there's kind of 8 stories. And then, but when you stand up, you don't hear anything. except you feel like a large screen evolve and the sound from there, showing the actual image of the disaster happening around the world. So in a way, in this exhibition, we're trying to actually create environment that you feel disaster is everywhere, and then once you look into this well, then you see the kind of a solution for the future. And of course, also, it was very important to design this well so that people start to kind of create the interesting physical contact, and then some are totally relaxed, and I don't know if this person is already inside of the well or not. But hopefully, they enjoyed it. And similarly, this is a project we did for 3M headquarters. Again, the actual assignment they gave us were very similar to the issue we were talking about. They really want to make sure so there will be the more communication among the different departments, separated by the walls. And this is how it is. This headquarters consists with 5 different buildings surrounding this big plaza used as a parking lot. And they want to create some way so that the people in these buildings will communicate to each other beyond their boundary. The reason is because 3M is known for, the interesting sort of innovation. The most famous product from 3M, what it is? It's a Post-it. Post-it was created, actually, when they tried to make the strongest glue ever, but somehow they came up with the weakest glue ever. And then what happened was, then this person in charge, or in cafeteria somehow, and I met somebody in a stationery department, and then they kind of started to talk, and then this idea of the Post-it came out. Because of this experience, the 3M really kind of counting on this kind of informal conversation and informal innovation. And that's why they want to make sure so that there's kind of a Ichigo Ichie moment happens everywhere. So the idea we came up was, there's a bridge connecting these buildings on the second floor. This is a very much usual kind of a design sort of a method they do in this kind of area in Minnesota area. So we thought this kind of circular kind of a corridor can become the place for the communication. So we set up lots of interesting, there's a cafeteria, there's a kind of a main entrance / some kind of a gallery space, and the media presentation rooms, and then this is a kind of a area to do like a kind of a education, to provide education to the staff people. So by connecting it and setting up lots of lounge space, that this becomes not the place to walk through, but the place to hang around. And also we place this kind of a small sort of a place for the communication called the communication hub around. So these are the lounge space created, scattered around the corridors. And also we try to kind of connect the different activity together. So this is a lounge space looking into this central courtyard, cafeteria, and this is a lecture hall. So you can see the layer of the activity kind of connected together to create this kind of a aha moment. Also, the parking lot are turned into kind of a mural that everybody can look down and can kind of share and create the kind of a, how to say, the feeling of home or feeling of working in the same place. Again, these dots represent the communication hub, which is like that. It consists with kind of a shared counter and also the digital signage, and then some kind of lounge and a small meeting room, like this. So this is like, you know, when you are tired working in your own office, you get out, and then you might have a coffee and sit here, and these are the kind of a digital screen that you can enter into your own computer if you want. And then you might meet with somebody and then might exchange your idea. You might talk about the failure you did, and then might become somebody's great idea. And then this is a blue hub. And we actually put this screen so that anybody in this company can upload their ideas, or they can put also something like, you know, that my dog has a baby and anybody has a good idea about the name. And so maybe the digital technology can enhance more the experience of being together. And this is a digital. And also, I'm not going to get into this one, but this is a kind of a exhibition we did for Okamura Space All, and this is a kind of a challenge we tried to do to create a meeting room for people who was there before and who is there now and who will be there. So trying to kind of create the interesting place for everyone, everywhere. But I'm gonna skip this. It's too complicated to talk about this in my English. So, as you can see, I am very much interested in how people can get together and how actually people kind of experience something together. And last year, I had a great opportunity to work with Mr. Izumi of Urasenke, and we run this one-year program called Research Studio. And the topic is Place of Shared Experience, Multicultural Transformation of the Tea Ceremony. So this is something that I showed to my student. Place is no longer important for people. How about architecture? Triggered by the advancement of the technology and accelerated by global pandemic. Importance of physical place for people to gather and share common experience is decreasing daily, and the significance of architecture is being questioned. Being again in the balloon. And you know, the question we had is, somehow the technology help us to communicate to each other smoothly and quickly, but we all know that it's really different from meeting and sharing space and talking to each other. I think maybe the communication through technology keeps people in this kind of a balloon and never give you the moment of this ichigo ichie. So in a way that communication to each other in balloon, it kind of keeps the people within this ideological bubble and somehow excluding others who share the same place. And somehow, if they have a totally different background, different opinion, then you don't really have this moment of ichigo ichie, and then you can't really kind of find a way to mediate these differences. It's almost like this bubble stays in distance, and this division of the people will never be kind of eased and resolved. And this trend seems to widen the division across the world. So that so the small tea room was created, and you know that in order to get into the tea room, you have to basically remove your sword, because the room you get in, the entryway to get in is so small, and with a sword on your actually body, won't let you go through the entrance. And so disarmament was very important sort of a quality to be able to join the tea room. And also when you are in the tea room, you have to imagine that there's so many sort of warlord and people who has a completely different ideas and different interests were kind of squeezed into this small room, and they had to share the experience of the tea. And maybe that's where people start to find some kind of compromise, or the place sort of found a way to mediate the differences. And we thought that that's a very important quality we need nowadays. And this is something that we should kind of explore. And also we were interested in such kind of a very strong place that where people can feel kind of attached to, and then people can kind of share together. And so we started to study also other place of ceremony where people's action and space are well connected. But as you look into many places like this, we started to realize that how unique the tea ceremony is, because these are incredible spaces that people can share experience together, and the space and bodies are well connected. But at the same time, this one has very much connected with a religion, which actually is difficult to share with the people who has a different background. And the Japanese tea house had also similar issue, because it was strongly actually connected to the Japanese culture, even though it's not religious. So the question we had was, is it possible to actually extract this sense of strong place where kind of helps people to share the experience in tea ceremony and turn it into multicultural experience? So that was a kind of a studio we initiated with the students, and these are the questions we raise. And then we ask students to study tea ceremony and the tea houses. And as you can see that the tea ceremony is not just about drinking tea. It's a kind of a sequences of the experiences integrated with the, the beautifully designed environment. And not only that, even every movement of the body is coordinated in relationship to the size of the building. That's why I cannot do this, because first I cannot sit like this, and also I may be too big to move this way. So I actually asked the student to first analyze tea ceremony and tea, and then we took student to Kyoto, and then we asked student to design the scenario, new scenario, how you can make the people to share the experience differently from tea ceremony. And then they designed the building. Yeah, so I will show you. So many students never actually been in Japan and never been inside of the tea house. So they started to study this, and then I asked them to actually recreate the tea house within a digital framework. And then we went to, so they built the digital tea house before they go to Japan, and then when they went to Kyoto, they actually saw the actual building that they were actually creating digitally. So we were lucky. We actually went through 7 or 8 most famous tea houses in Kyoto in 3 days. So then at the end, they made a video. So I will show you the video of the 2 tea houses my student recreated in the first quarter. And they kind of laid out so that you are kind of following the vision of visitor experiencing tea ceremony. This is a Joan, one of the most famous tea house. How small the entrance is. I mean, maybe audience here knows already about this, but in the process, they learn the direction of the grain of the tatami mat and how each detail of the woods are made, even the texture, but also the light coming in. As well as also the size of the space and how the body has to go through this space, and how it is related to the ritual of the tea ceremony. Everything is incredibly well coordinated and creating very interesting sort of a experience, not only to enjoy the taste of the tea, but the entire experience is very unique. This is Yosuite, also the famous tea house, because of the there are so many windows actually in this one. Joan and Yosuite are spatially very different chashitsu. So what's interesting thing is that I showed you, the kind of a way that the people kind of share the experience without so much relying on the architectural space. But here, the architecture is also kind of synthesized with this movement of the people and activity inside. So again, the whole experience are coordinated, and that will help people to, again, communicate. And probably by sharing this momentum, you can really kind of start to respect the others as a human, and then start to kind of think about mediating differences, because you want to kind of share. That's the place for host. And the door on the left side is where the host will come out. Now it shifted to the eye of the host. So this is a view from the host, and then in front, that's the entrance for the guest. Then after this, they kind of trying to translate this into Western concept, and then trying to create the scenario to, again, scenario of the place for the shared experience. And then they designed different type of buildings at the end. And I can't really tell that at the end, the product that the students came out is successful or not, because this cannot be really built, right? And without actually experiencing it, it's hard to tell whether this is a failure or a success. However, I think the students really went through this exercise very well and understood the concept well. So to culminate, as a culmination of this research studio, we did this symposia called the same name as today's talk. And this was a kind of a challenge that trying to combine the tea ceremony together with a symposia, and then trying to create a very special moment for participants to share their experience. It was held at the Japan House, and this symposia maybe consists with three. Maybe this is easier. This is a symposium, and we invited actually 6 guests, and then 2 actually moderators, and everyone is from Mr. Izumi from tea ceremony, and Mr. John Graham from music, and Mr. Nakayama from the movie, and so on. Tea experts, architect, and specialist from medical field about the health and so on. So there's supposed to be the conversation about place for shared experience and also the shared experience. But a big thing that we wanted to do was how this kind of tea ceremony and also the idea of removing the boundary between speakers and participants, and turn this this kind of a usual symposia into something very different. So this is a kind of a schedule, and then the first session is a shared experience, and there's speakers presenting their idea, and then also there's a second session, place for experience. And again, three speakers are presenting their idea, followed by discussion. And then in the middle, we inserted tea and chat. And that's where also the tea and the sweets will be served. And so as there's a well-designed flow exists in a tea ceremony, we try to also design the flow, and as well as also the organization. So the za indicates also this round-shaped place, and we designed actually this special setting. So everybody are asked to sit in this kind of a low-height, round-shaped table, like a kind of bench. And this 10-round bench, and all the audience were scattered around, and then also all the speakers are also scattered around, and as well as also MCs. So everybody sits among each other, and also 10 tea masters from Rasenke sat in each this za, and then they are acting as a host of za, each za. And also, I don't know if you can see, but if you sit around it, and this is a main screen, it's very difficult to see here because you have to kind of twist your body to look, right? Rather, actually, you can see each other this way. So this setting forces you to be aware of other people who are with us, with you. Since there's a budget limitation, the structure is very simple. And this is how it is. Then the first session. This arrangement forces the speaker somehow to jump into the middle of the audience, not just keeping himself, in front of the podium. So this happens automatically. And even he went to the back of the, more like an area, not from the front. And Izumi-san, because he's a tea master, he was more staying here. So, the people started to kind of move, realize that this isn't the usual symposia. Then once actually, the place turns into the place for the conversation, everybody was asked to have a conversation among the ichiza. And then people realize that it's hard to actually sit and talk to each other because then your body has to be twisted by 90 degrees. So everybody started to take interesting kind of a shape, like standing by surrounding the table, or even they turn this into the table and then sits like a Japanese living room. And then tea and chat. What happened was that each tea master first came here and then arranged the flower, and then start to serve the sweets, and then they serve the tea. So this kind of a switch from very informal conversation to this kind of formality suddenly, the kind of gives the interesting shift in your mentality, and also creates interesting bond among each other. And also, not only you're just talking, all of a sudden the other sensation, the smell and touching and the taste comes into your experience. And then you start to kind of communicate to each other across the different za. This is me. And then we went into the second session. And the second session started to be more interesting as people started to feel more relaxed and enjoy. And she isn't a speaker, she is the audience. And then now the audience started to stand out and started to act like as if they are invited guests. And this is also, I think, one of the students. And you can see that how different sort of a body gesture this place is allowing. And you can see that actually this became not just only the place passively sort of receives the information, but this is more become the place proactively kind of jump into this experience and share and getting to know each other. I mean, everybody started to sit on the floor. So again, I'm not sure if I understood tea. I'm doing my best, but at least there's something that I strongly inspired by this tea and influences the way that I designed the building. But at also same time, maybe, I don't know if our challenge is successful or not, but maybe, this direction can solve many problems that we are facing at this moment and remove the boundary or the division between the people. Okay, this is it for my talk today, and thank you very much for listening. So we do Q&A or?
If you don't mind, yes. So thank you so much, Professor Abe. This was totally fascinating and inspiring. We have 2 microphones in the auditorium. If you'd like to ask Professor Abe a question, please just come up to one of the microphones and pose it directly. Since I'm standing here, I'll start. I have a really simple-minded question. I'm just very curious how 3M reacted to your reconfiguration of their headquarters. How has the design concept been received in actuality?
First of all, I didn't show you how it was before. And it was dark. It was very segmented. So they were very happy that the place became very bright and open. I'm not quite sure how well they are using, but at least they sent me like 3 months later the video that all the workers are dancing in the middle of the plaza. It's like a rave or whatever. And I kind of thought that maybe we did the right thing. Sorry, I don't have a video to show you today, but any other question? I cannot see anything, so. Okay.
Was the 3M redesign before the pandemic?
Sorry?
The 3M redesign, was it before the pandemic?
That was before the pandemic.
And did it affect,
Unfortunately, I don't know after the pandemic. But I assume that nobody was around probably during the pandemic and everything became remote. The problem I see, in the pandemic is some way it made our life easier because you don't have to commute much and the meeting is now online, and so you don't have to really sit in boring meetings for such a long time, especially in a university. But also there is something very important kind of lost. Very important, very essential to us. So thinking about the current division happening around the world, sometimes I wonder maybe this is a result of that. Somehow everybody started to communicate, right, with devices, and somehow we kind of lost that kind of a moment of ichigo ichie. And if you stay in this ideological bubble and forget that the person next to you in a different bubble are also the same human, and then you kind of, if you lose the interest to that kind of connection, it became a problem. And many things happened in UCLA in the past couple of years is very much sort of a representative that they should really respect each other, sharing same place, and then trying to find a way to mitigate the difference. But it goes the other way around now. So that's something that, against, I think, the T, and that's why I think the Daisosho, the great master, really pushed for the world peace, because he probably knew that the T might be able to help.
Hi there.
All of you guys already have been to the tea house here, right?
Yes.
No? They have a great tea house here. And you should ask Robert or somebody to let you experience the tea there. It's something quite good, especially with someone, I think.
Hi there. My name is Sina Jahanian. I started my own cocoon project. It's actually called Meraki Cocoon in 2021 in the pursuit of, after pandemic, bringing people together. It was a mid-century house in Woodland Hills, which I turned into a space, which was intentionally designed multisensory to get people out of their phones to come and sit around through mostly music and sound, to get their shoes off, phones off, put their feet in sand, sit around fire and share a moment, which usually was an artist or something, or a lecture or a poetry night. We've been running that experiment for about 4 years now, and we have some success. I would love to see how can that scale through, we have so many spaces in, let's say, just take city of Los Angeles. We have so many coffee shops, we have so many restaurants, but within those spaces, one is too loud, two, everybody is already behind their screen and totally distracted, and you see people which might be within the same space but don't notice each other. So I'm wondering if your lab is doing research how we can create those intentional spaces, but can we have them within our city where people can actually go to those spaces for that, or create practices that turn some of those places that already exist into.
I think what you're doing is fascinating and really interesting. But yeah, place, how to create that kind of place is a matter of also the financial question, right? Yeah. So that's the kind of difficulty, and even within the university, we don't have that kind of space yet.
I'm suffering from the financial part, having to have 3 different jobs to support it, because of course, because you're not selling alcohol or selling something, or usually artists contribute and you're doing the legwork of getting people there. But I think the beautiful part is when people come and gather within such space, and from, of course, different backgrounds, different mentalities, and it usually takes about an hour for the awkwardness to drop and people start communicating. Right. But afterwards, they never want to leave, because now they felt this amazing feeling that they didn't feel before, especially after pandemic, to speak, to share without any judgment or any other things. But I would love to continue this at some point to see how, one, we can kind of bypass the obstacle of finances and things, because I'm sure there should be some sort of a grant if we plan to kind of further our humanity. And what you just said speaks to my heart very much. We look around the world right now and there's so much conflict, and a lot of it can be just resolved by really seeing each other. We have the resources, we have the smarts, we have everything to go through, but it's just, it has to come from this little grassroots spaces that we can just meet.
I mean, I guess that this kind of a thing is something that if you feel you just have to start and you can expect somebody else to do it, or you can just go to the tea house and enjoy the tea together with somebody else. But it's depending on the context, depending on which kind of environment you're in, and I would just say,
I think
you should keep going, and
how can
try
we
also my best to do whatever I'm starting. So
I guess like some point of awareness would be amazing. Like it would be amazing if we had a full house in here today for people to actually know these things exist and being created. I think you're in such a beautiful position being part of a university which is
thank you.
So well known, and being in collaboration with places like Japan House or other places that can really be seen and have the foot traffic and really continue. I would definitely love to pick a meeting and at some point maybe talk further on this. Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Same.
Thank you.
Same. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you very much.